Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Regular. Let's look at nonsense words. A nonsense word is a word that is not real. Every word is a nonsense word until you've learned what that word means. So for a kindergartner, it's not too uncommon to see a nonsense word since they're learning to read. Why do we practice nonsense words or silly words? Nonsense words help students work on tapping and then blending sounds to decode a word. We want students to focus on tapping sounds and blending them together. We don't want them to remember or recall a word they already know, which is why we need these words to be ones they've never seen before. The best way to make that happen is to give them nonsense or silly words. There are three ways to read a nonsense word. Let's look at each stage. The first way to read a nonsense word is to tap each sound but not be able to blend the sounds together correctly yet. Let's look at this red nonsense word. Students might look at this word and tap, ooh, ah, but they are unable to put those sounds together, either because they're not sure what to do or they might put it together incorrectly. So they might say, ooh, ah, vab, which doesn't match what they tapped out. Students at this stage want to work on hearing the sounds that they say and being able to blend what they hear. Stage 2 is where students can tap out each sound and blend those sounds together. Let's look at this blue nonsense word. A student in stage 2 can look at this word and say b, I, p, bip. They are able to tap each sound and then blend it together. This is developmentally appropriate for our kindergartners, and we want to encourage them sounding out for as long as they need it. However, some students will be ready to get to stage 3, where they will tap out those sounds in their head instead of out loud to read it as a whole word. Now let's look at stage 3. Students in stage 3 are ready to read this word without tapping out each sound one at a time. When I look at this word, I know it says gauge. I read that like a whole word. I didn't have to tap out g, ah, j, gauge. I just knew it said gauge. This is what we want our students to be able to do by the end of kindergarten. This really helps with fluent reading and being a successful reader. This is what students are going to practice on Fridays, nonsense words. Let's look at an example of what you'll see on Fridays. Everyone will have a sheet for January that's filled with lots of nonsense words. Your student will have 1 minute to read as many words as they can. You will score what they read in one of two ways: correct letter sounds or whole words read. If students are not ready to read these as whole words, they will tap out each sound. I'll give you an example of doing that in the first row. Ooh, ab, b, ev, it, on, ooh, n. Those are all correct letter sounds. So you would give 1 point for each sound. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That would be a score of 15 correct letter sound points. Since I tapped out each sound, I don't get any whole words read points because I didn't read them as whole words. If I'm able to read them without sounding out first, that would count as a whole words read. I will do the same line of words, reading them as whole words instead of tapping them out. Wob, bev, writ, mon, lin. If your student is able to read words without sounding out, you can give them a whole word read point. I would get 1 point for the word wob, 1 point for the word bev, 1 point for the word writ, 1 point for the word mon, and 1 point for the word lin. That would give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 whole words read points. Go ahead and record the score for how many your student reads, depending on how they read them. If they are reading correct letter sounds, you will score correct letter sounds. If they're reading whole words read, you'll record whole words read. It is okay to have a mix of both. Maybe they tapped out wob, but they read bev. It's okay to have whole word read and correct letter sounds if that's what your student is doing. If this makes sense, go ahead and practice it and record on the back of your January sheet. We're going to practice this at school as well, so the students should be able to help you once they get ready to do it at home. If you have any additional questions, please let me know by sending me an email or asking through Dojo. Thanks.